All right. Good morning from Houston, Texas. That's Central Time. I'm sure everyone coming around is coming from different parts of the world. So, if possible, let's have a quick good morning, good afternoon from. Just let's know where you are connecting from. That will help us to know how global this event is. So, Detoun, a shout from you. Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, or wherever you're coming from.
So it's good afternoon from Lagos.
Okay, great.
Welcome, everyone.
All right. Dr. Arun?
Good afternoon from India.
Okay.
Good evening also now,
Okay.
almost.
Great.
Good afternoon from
Thank you very
Italy.
much. Thank you.
Venice.
Awesome. Dr. Sunny?
Good evening from India.
Okay,
Delhi.
great. Anita? We can't hear you. You are muted.
Okay.
You are muted.
Anita must be in Chicago.
Yeah, I know, right?
He is in Chicago.
Okay, I just wanted to say hello to all so that we can all know how global this event is. All right, I see Festus. Festus, where are you from? Where are you coming from? Where are you joining from? On your mic, don't worry, I'm going to mute everybody. Your mic is muted, please. It's not ready. Okay, who is ready again? Victory, where are you from? Okay, Sam, where are you from? Sunday, where are you from?
Good afternoon from Nigeria.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Festus from Nigeria.
Awesome. Thank you. Awesome. Anita, your mic was off before, so you want to say hello to us.
Hello from Chicago. Good morning.
Okay, good. All right. So it's going to be an awesome time today. I want to appreciate everybody for connecting in earlier, and then we're starting right away because I know our facilitators are loaded. They have so much to give us, and we don't want to miss out in limited time that we have this afternoon, this morning, this evening, as whatever time you have over there. Okay, in 2015, the United Nations adopted what is called the 2020 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goal, which was a blueprint for peace, prosperity for people and planet Earth now and the future. So the United Nations came together and then they agreed to have a kind of a blueprint that will move the world forward, especially people who are living on Earth, people are living under the water, the water, above the water, for now, future, for the environment, and they call it what is, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, agenda, so to say. And this agenda became a goal where the world is now trying to see how can we achieve all these goals in developing the world, and then finding a way to have a better world. There was a time it was called the Planet Summit. So these goals were made to help us to be able to achieve development all around the world, and then to be able to have a better world. They believe that tackling poverty and other deprivation must go hand in hand with strategies in improving education, reduce inequality, spur economic growth. Well, we are talking about climate change, working on preserving our ocean, the forest. Not talking about now only, but talking about the future. So the agenda was how can we take care of poverty, deprivation, economy. At the same time, we are looking at the environment, we are looking at the weather, we are looking at change of weather, we are looking at things that touch education, that touch health, different dimensions. Before it used to be fight against poverty, fight against hunger, but now it's all encompassing. So it is all together in this blueprint called the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goal. So we are asking this morning, how can we make this work? What are the productivity strategies that will make these SDGs work? I know it's broad, probably in subsequent discussion, I'm going to narrow down in different goals. But today, from our discussion, we're going to look at how can we make this work? Talking from the perspective of our occupation, from our location, from our experience, from different angles. So It's going to be very interesting. And I tell you, everybody in this call today will take something home. But before I go further, let me allow the vice president. I don't know if we have the president here, but I can be corrected. Please, Anita and Sonny, you can please let me know if the president is here. But if not, I would like to give the opportunity to the vice president one, Dr. Sonny, to give us an opening speech as we'll take off today. Anita, am I in order? Do we have the president here, or I should?
You are in order.
In order. Okay, good. All right, thank you. So the vice president of the World Academy of Productivity Science is here, Dr. Sonny. So please open the floor, and then we will kick off. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Remi. Thanks for your introductory observations. Let me take this opportunity of welcoming everyone who is here in the event. All the speakers, the three speakers from different parts of the world. We have people from India, we have people from Italy and from Nigeria. So it's wonderful to have three different countries being represented on this first very event of WAPS. For the benefit of some of you who may not be familiar with WCPS and WAPS, WCPS is the World Confederation of Productivity Sciences, the world body or the apex body which is working in the area of productivity. It's a global body which has its headquarters in Canada, and the board comprises of people from different parts of the world. I and Anita happen to be on the board of WCPS. WCPS has two wings or two divisions. One division which looks after the academic activities, which is known as the World Academy of Productivity Sciences. And we have Mr. Chen Yang from China, who is the president of WAPS. Unfortunately, he's not part of the event today, but I and Anita represent him in this meeting today. The second division of WCPS is WNPO, which is the World Network of Productivity Organizations, which is basically a membership body of productivity consulting companies or productivity consulting organizations in public and private sector. So all these people come together and organize different kind of activities. The major activity for WCPS is the World Productivity Congress. We normally organize this Congress once in 2 years.
Name on the line, Dolly is going to come.
And we have not been able to hold this event during the last 2 years, primarily because
Dr. Sonny, you can, I muted everybody. You can unmute, please. You can unmute. Yeah, I muted everybody. Go ahead. Unmute, please. Unmute.
Okay. Thank you. Remi, thanks. Right. Now, the next Productivity Congress is expected to be in China in 2023. That's going to be a major event for WCPS. WAPS has three sets of activities as of now. We have an activity which has been going on for many years. That's where we induct and recognize productivity professionals across the globe. And that is in the form of awarding a fellowship to people who deserve to be productivity experts. So our fellows nominate experts for award of fellowship, and the WAPS board takes a call in terms of selecting these people, and these people are awarded the fellowship. Till date, we have only been awarding the fellowships as and when we had the productivity congresses. But this year onwards, WAPS board has decided to go on for an annual event. Even if we don't have the World Productivity Congress, we will have the award functions, maybe virtually. So convocations will happen virtually. And if we have the Productivity Congress, the convocation will happen along with the Productivity Congress. In addition to the fellowship awards, WAPS also has been publishing. We have already had one issue of our international journal, IJPS, and which is an international journal for productivity science. We invite professionals and all of you who are on this event to contribute to this journal and get recognized for your contributions. And finally, the third activity that we do under the banner of WAPS is this knowledge sharing forum. This is the first one that we have begun with. Our intention is to have one every month, and our intention is also to have every event being represented by 3 different countries. So hopefully the next event will have also 3 speakers from 3 different countries. Theme, we will decide as we go along, but initially our intention was, as Remi mentioned, that the United Nations have identified 17 areas for SDGs to be achieved by 2030 by all the countries, member countries. And our effort is basically to look at how productivity strategies can help countries to achieve these 17 SDGs and achieve the objectives and targets that United Nations had set for these countries. That seems to be our objective, and maybe in the next forums, we'll pick up each of these topics, maybe related to healthcare, maybe related to climate, maybe related to employment, education. We'll pick up any of these topics and then have the discussions. Thank you very much for joining us. And let me hand you back to Remi.
All right, Dr. Suni, thank you very much for that introduction. May I mention again that I have 2 of my bosses here, Dr. Suni Abro and Anita Tang. They are my bosses here. They are my senior colleagues, like you would say. All right, and the World Academy of
Remi, you're part of the team.
All right, so without wasting time, I want to say that people are already in and we are excited to go. Let me start by introducing the speakers or panelists or the discussants. But before that time, may I say that everybody should please make sure that your mic is always muted. And if you have any question, you can raise your hand. Please, that we don't want to entertain interaction or discussion behind the microphone. Please mute your mic, and then only when the speakers are speaking, that is where we want to see the video on. Possibly let us all mute our videos too, so that the speaker will be the only person whose video will be on. Even I myself, I'm going to be off. I'm going to be off video when the speakers are on. So mute your mics, mute your videos always. When it is time, I will tell you when to on your video so that we can have attention on the speaker per time. And then we should be able to achieve so much if you follow all this instruction. All right. I'm so happy and so excited to be here today. And I'm happy that I am the one that is moderating this World Academy of Productivity Science knowledge sharing platform. Okay, let me read it. I know we are so excited. I know we want to really go. Let me read the profile of our first speaker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the profile per speaker so that you can know what they have, who they are, and then you can drop your questions. Now your questions will be answered at the end of all the 3 speakers. So if you have any question, please write them down, and then you can always share with us at the chat box, right? So that we can compress and use more time and achieve more, right? So please, if you have any question, write them down. At the end of the 3 speakers, it's not going to be long. You can ask your questions, and you're going to drop your questions in the chat box, and then I'm going to now read it for them to answer us as we go on. Okay, today we're starting straight, talking about the productivity strategies for the sustainable development agenda for the world, right? The first person I've been inviting to the microphone to take us up on this event today is Dr. Arun Kumar Rath. He's from India. He's a chairman and professor, Center for Corporate Governance, CSR and Sustainable India Institute of Management in Nagpur. Dr. Arun Kumar Rath received his doctorate in literature degree in 2017. He was awarded Fellow of World Academy of Productivity Science in 2020 to honor his outstanding contribution to education. Dr. Rath was conferred with the prestigious Lok Nayak Jaya Prakanaraya National Award in 2021. I'm sorry, I'm learning. So you correct me better later, right? Dr. Rath is a distinguished civil servant, author, and corporate leader. He joined the India Administrative Service in 1973. That's a long time ago. At the government of India, he served as Joint Secretary of the Department of Public Enterprise and was Special Secretary of the Ministry of Steel, a Union Secretary of Ministry of Human Resources Development. Dr. Rath contributed to enactment of right of children to free and compulsory education Act in 2009. Dr. Rath traveled widely around the world, including ice continent of Antarctica. He represented India in a number of international conferences, including one at the United Nations in New York. Ladies and gentlemen, can we make welcome Dr. Arun Kumar Rath from India? You're welcome, sir. Over to you. I know we cannot clap now, but I'm sure you are clapping where you are, or should I allow you? Okay, we can go to the chat room and please let's do clapping in the chat room. Let's do some clapping in there. Clap, let's clap as we welcome. I don't want, yes, thank you. Let's welcome, let's clap, let's do clapping. I'm not seeing enough clapping. If I allow you to on your mic now, there's going to be a lot of uproar. So let's clap, let's do some clapping in there to welcome our first speaker today. Dr. Arun, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Remi, for the very kind introduction. Dr. Abrol, Anita, and my dear friends across the world, and also from IIM Nagpur and IIPA Odisha, my colleagues. It's a great honor to be part of this global audience, and I'm grateful to the organizers for inviting me to speak on this very vital subject. Can I share my slides? Can you
go ahead, sir. Go ahead,
give the access to me?
Yes, go ahead. I'm giving you the access.
No, host disabled participant screen sharing. Can you give it back?
Okay.
Disabled.
I think I've done that. Okay. Okay. All right, you're good now. Check it again.
Yeah. Is it visible?
Yes, please. We can see.
Okay. Now, friends, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. Namaste from India. And my co-panelists, Mrs. Ogwo and Dr. Manos. Also, I am part of this very illustrious team. Now, friends, economic growth and productivity are intricately linked. And at the same time, it is important to ensure sustainable development with higher productivity in all sectors of the economy. We must ensure the three pillars of economic growth, ecological balance, and social progress. And when we evaluate any project, the criteria must be, are they linked to sustainable development, including economically sound products, processes, and services, and we integrate sustainable development and economic growth so that risks and hazard to nature are minimized and we ensure community participation. We want a better world, a better environment, peace and prosperity, but our path is fraught with enormous challenges, economic, social, and environmental. Our effort must be complemented by technological innovations to achieve sustainability. Now, as you know, the critical definition of sustainable development as given by the World Commission is that development that seeks to meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. It is very simple to hear, but very, very difficult to implement. The lot of problems are there. We'll proceed as to how this definition, which is a very good definition of SD, how it can be implemented. Friends, it speaks of balancing three aspects: economic, social, and environmental. That is the key word to sustainable development. There's only one planet, one earth, and we must ensure that the dew stays non-toxic every day in the morning. Now, as you know, UN has given 17 goals to end poverty and hunger, ensure gender equity, protect the planet, and ensure that by 2030, all people enjoy peace and prosperity and ensure a just social order all over the world. Now, the goals are given here. Already, Remi has read out. So I won't go into detail. You know, from no poverty, zero hunger, to health, education, to equality, to peace, justice, all these 17 goals are laudable. This is what the country needs. And every human being must strive to achieve these goals. And these goals are encapsulated in this UN logo also. Now, the then SG of UN was asked, what is plan B? He said, there is no plan B because there is no planet B. Either we fail in achieving SDGs or we don't do anything about it. And the present SG also said that we must rise higher to rescue the SDGs and stay true to our promise of world peace, dignity, and prosperity in a healthy planet. Now, but friends, I want to warn you of the dangers that we are facing now. The Sustainable Development Goal Report of 2020 stated, I'm quoting, agenda for sustainable development is in grave danger, along with humanity's very own survival. The confluence of crises dominated by COVID-19, climate change, conflicts are creating spin-off impacts on food and nutrition, health, education, environment, peace, security, and affecting all these 17 SDGs. COVID-19 has wiped out more than 4 years of progress on poverty eradication and pushed 93 million more people into extreme poverty in 2020. The pandemic disturbed essential health services. More than 24 million students may never come back to school. Our 1/4 of global population live in conflict-affected countries. 100 million people have been forcibly displaced worldwide. Ukraine war created one of the largest refugee crises of modern time. The developing countries are battling record inflation, rising interest rates, and debt burden. Friends, today, therefore, all governments of the world, all corporations, all business, all communities, all institutions must work now with new vigor to compensate for the loss due to the pandemic and work harder to achieve the goals in the remaining 7 years given to us till 2030. Now, The social contract in 21st century must be redefined because large populations across the world face persistent wage stagnation, work fragility, challenge of affordable housing, rising expense of healthcare and education, multiple pressures on low-income individuals, persistent gender and race discrimination. The purpose of a business corporation, because business are holding the wealth of the world, the purpose needs to be redefined in the contemporary times to care and deliver value for society, environment, and all other stakeholders. It's time to adopt a new social contract for the 21st century in the lines of the traditional theory of social contract of Jean-Jacques Rousseau. The new social contract should govern the agreement and understanding between individuals and society and institutions. We must ensure the rights of individuals to secure protection and social security. Now, globalization has thrown up new challenges before the business corporations. The profit motive of the business entities are often responsible for the adverse consequences of pollution, climate change, threat to environment and biosphere, waste generation, threat to traditional culture and values, and fast depletion of Earth's resources. As such, the SDGs cast great responsibility on the business corporations to be responsible to society and environment. India's action on SDGs. Since I am in India, India is home to 1/6 of the planet's humanity, which makes the country a key player in ensuring the prosperity and sustainability of the planet and its people. India has raised the levels of prosperity for its people manifold in the recent past. However, challenges remain in many areas, including health, nutrition, basic infrastructure, quality of education, and also environment. India is committed to attain the SDGs in transforming this country by improving the socio-economic environmental indicators. The greatest challenge to save the planet comes from climate change caused mainly due to three factors, namely carbon footprint, greenhouse effect, and global warming. And all these are caused by the greenhouse gases, methane, carbon dioxide, and other gases. And the percentage is shown in this pie chart. And the areas from which the emissions come, mostly power stations, but poor countries, India particularly, for them, the dirty coal is the main source of power, followed by industrial process, transportation fuels, agricultural byproducts. Again, countries like India and all are hugely dependent on agriculture. So we have to also be very careful that we do not do further damage. The who cares wins conference in 2005, organized by the United Nations and IFC, examine the critical role of environmental, social, and governance or ESG management in sustainable investing. We should now talk of sustainable investing. Any investment by the institutions of finance, by the investors, must be judged and screened to find out, are they ESG compliant or not? The Financial Times of 2021 reported, the big picture is that the next few decades, the global economy is going to transform to a low carbon economy, and it will be one of the biggest investment events of our lifetime. And how the global economy works in the next 10 to 20 years, there will be huge risks and huge opportunities. Now, what is the future strategy? Future strategy are many. I'll just list a few. We are at the midpoint of the 15-year time frame given to us. So SDGs have so far remained ethical questions without the force of law. It's high time national governments around the world being legal provisions to enforce the implementation of the global targets of SDG. Without law, we are not going to achieve much. And after failure or near failure of COP26, the countries must come to the COP27 with a better target of emission of net zero emission and ensure that 1.5 degree is maintained. So ESG must be used by all the financial institutions and investors to promote only sustainable investment and nothing else. Now, phasing down of coal is a big challenge for India, and phasing down of coal and make it net zero emission in next 2 decades. Carbon credit market is being developed in India also, and all over the world is must develop to achieve net zero emission. Now, children must be taught right from school days on climate change, on disaster of risk reduction, biodiversity, poverty reduction, and sustainable consumption. Civil society NGOs, many of you are present here. The civil society NGOs must be promoted for advocacy roles. Press and print media must highlight the dangers of non-achievement of SDGs. And we should disincentivize excessive consumption and reckless consumerism. What Mahatma Gandhi said, the earth has enough to meet everyone's need, but not the greed. So greed is at the cause of failure of the SDGs. Now, friends, I must wind up saying that we must balance the 3 aspects of development: economic, social, and environmental, like this. Today, the model is balancing the 3 components: economic, social, and environmental, representing profit, planet, and people. Profit, planet, and people must balance. But friends, this balancing has not taken place because in the 3 elements, economy which has become more powerful. The environment which should have been more powerful is the weakest of the 3. Now, time has come to reverse it. I give a new model. The model is economy, instead of economy being most powerful and dominant, let environment be most powerful and dominant. Let economy be dictated and constrained by environment. It's a simple statement, but very, very questionable by many. But if we have to achieve SDGs, then environment and society must dictate to economy and not vice versa. This is a thought which I'm leaving to you. Thank you very much for the patient hearing. Any question that you have, you can raise me. Thank you very much for giving me a chance to speak to you. Namaste.
Thank you. Can you appreciate in the chat room? I don't know if many of us don't know how to use the chat room. Let's just do the clapping there. Thank you, Prof. Thank you. Can you just write something?
Thank you very much. Thank
you, Dr. Arun. Thank you. That was awesome. Thank you. That was awesome. You know, I'm just thinking about your presentation, very wrapped, straight to the point. And then I got afraid when I saw your long slide. I didn't know you could do this in limited time. Once again, that was professional. That was a good one in limited time. You're able to do this and do justice to that. You know, talking about India, talking about, you know, how India has been working around the sustainable development goals in achieving a better world. I just began to also think about Nigeria, because Nigeria and India have something in common. They have the number, and then the environment is started, economy, and we are talking about the economy, social, and the environment. So how can we balance all this together? I mean, I think you've really done a lot of justice to that. Talk about the education for children. I'm not sure if SDG is part of education from elementary or primary school. I'm not sure if they're even teaching us children, you know, in their middle school or secondary school, as the case may be. And then talking about the press and the media, they talk so much about the bad things in the society. Are they talking about, you know, the planet? Are they talking about how we are destroying the planet? Of course, they also get a, you know, brown envelope when they go to cover, you know, such events, you know, in the economic angle. But do they look at the implication of, you know, the general implication in the environment? I think that was awesome. Thank you very much. I think people are already writing their questions down. So if you have any questions, can you just write down somewhere, and then later we'll put it in a chat room, and then I can take it off from there, and then we'll ask. So, Dr. Aru, Professor Aru, like somebody call you Prof now. We'll want you to just hang on there, and then when we are back, we'll ask you the question, and then we'll come during the wrap-up time. Okay, so now moving from India to another part of the world, another continent and of Africa. It's Nigeria. And there's no how you can talk about Nigeria, talk about Africa and not talk about Nigeria, because they refer to them as the giant of Africa, in different dimensions. I don't want to be selfish. I don't want to be self-praised. So let me just keep it as simple as that. But I have somebody here from Nigeria, from Africa, who's going to look at it from from another perspective. So, Doctor, can you mute your videos? Dr. T. Tiwari, please mute your video so that we can have focus on the speaker. Thank you. But you can also always connect and be there. Thank you. So today I'll be introducing the second person who is going to take us to the next level. When we are talking about SDG, we also talk about equality, and we are saying no to inequality. So even when we are bringing up this program, we're thinking, no, we can't have all men events. No, Anita will not even allow me to do that. And then we have to get somebody who is a lady and who is a woman who has been doing awesome well in industry of human resources, employability, youth, and the rest. I'm going to read her profile, and then we have to bring her on board to share them from Africa to share our mind on the productivity strategies, or how we can maximally explore what is called the SDG goals today. So our name is Mrs. Detoun Ogwo, and I'm sure by January we'll add a special title, which will be Dr. Detoun Ogwo by January. But let's still, because it's not official, he has not officially allowed me to call her that, so I'll keep that unofficial. All right, but in January I'll be able to say Dr. Detoun Ogwo. But now let's just take that because she didn't give me that permission. So Mrs. Detoun Ogwo is from Nigeria, and Nigeria is from the continent of Africa. He's a development and human resource practitioner. Okay, Ms. Detoun Ogwo received a master's degree in development from the International Training Center, ILO. She was a doctor, also he is a doctoral research at the UCL Institute of Education of University College London. Okay, University College London, right? Mrs. Detoun, 2 decades long career in human capital and customer care, benefited firms like PwC, British Airways, British America Tobacco, Stabit, IBTC, T-Mobile, and Halifax Bank PLC. She was pioneer executive director and co-founder of AGDC, Employability and Enterprise Development Limited. All right, in Nigerian government, accredited a national career center. That's in Nigeria. Tireless work in youth development, providing resources, skills, and expertise to development, employability, and entrepreneurial capacity of youth, constantly help her to drive professional business growth, productivity, and national development. Mrs. Detoun Ogwo is on the board of different organizations, skills development practice, the Architects Collective, the Abirak Foundation. She is a member of Chartered Institute of Personal Management and Ashoka Changemaker Fellow, Fortune 10,000 Women Mentees, and 2-time nominees for Schwab Foundation Societal Entrepreneur for Year of the Year Year Award in Africa. May I humbly welcome our doctor to be, but Mrs. Detoun Ogwo, to take it all from me. You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much, RD. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate the introduction, and Prof, I really appreciate that you've set a fantastic context to take the conversation forward. It makes work very easy for me. My approach this afternoon really is going to be as a practitioner. I thought, looking at just 15 minutes, I wanted us to have a sincere conversation around next steps and what it is as individuals. One of the things I've learned working in development in Nigeria is sometimes the data and the reality can be very overwhelming when we look at the gap between theory and practice. And my preferred style also is just for conversation, and so that we can just land the ways that we can plug ourselves into what happens next. And I must commend Remi. I call him RD. I remember that many years ago, we sat in my office and just discussing a lot of his vision around productivity. I have defined productivity around competitiveness, but listening to Prof, I was wondering if also business has been part of the problem and how we can reframe, how we unleash the productivity of every citizen. As we know, Nigeria is the biggest economy in Africa, and the services sector in Nigeria is one of the largest sectors. And we also then have a problem with the quality of skills that are coming up from our education system. We have a problem with the quality of digital skills. And the work that I've done in the sector. So as Remi said, I started in human services and human relations, and I'm very keen on situating how Nigeria, as one of the fastest growing economies in Africa, will align its youth, will allow the realities that young people have with the outcomes that we are seeking at the level of environment, at the level of productivity, and ensuring that the output, we all agree that a country's ability to improve its standard of living depends on the ability of output per worker. So we all know the science that, look, if you have a great number of people in an environment, the best thing that you can do for them is facilitate an economic environment where people are living out to their highest aspirations. I must say that the way that Nigeria as a country has framed its structural transformation is and how relate to the Sustainable Development Goals. So I would stand on the existing work that Prof has shared with us. We know what the Sustainable Development Goals are. I think what the question for me this session, as I prepared for this session, is how do we as a country, how do we as a key player on the African continent make sense of our reality? How do we make sense of, for example, if we look at SDG 4 and we look at SDG 8, which has to do a lot with education, the quality of education. What is it that data is saying to us? And what is it that reality is saying to us? And how do we, as we're framing the productivity strategies that would move the SDGs forward, what are the lessons that we must reflect on? And what are the things that are happening within our society that we cannot run away from, that we must then get into gear to resolve, both from where, there's this framing, I think, by Stephen Covey around leadership. There are things that you can control and there are things that are outside your control. But I like to have conversations around, because I've noticed sitting in thousands of conferences in Nigeria that sometimes the data just leaves you feeling very helpless. And I like to frame solutions from a bias for action, a bias for getting things done, which I think is productivity, and a bias for, look, yes, we're having this reality and a lot of our youth are living this experience, but what must we do now? I like that Prof framed the fact that we don't have a second planet and we only have one life to live. So what must this country and Nigeria do to ensure that we don't only push for efficiency gain, we release people to work on, their own social, I like how, I know that Amartya Sen gets a bit of flack from economists from the bit of study I've done, but we have a moral justification for what makes for each individual's capabilities and how do they live out those capabilities. I hope I'm making some sense. I'm trying to rush, but really, we do need to understand that unless we make productivity improvements, we cannot achieve the SDGs. And how do we make productivity improvements? I think that Nigeria as a country has framed that in its, what we call the ERGP plan. I'll ask that we, I was going to bring, I thought the report is quite robust, but Nigeria as a country has something called the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, which honestly has looked at what we must do to leapfrog around issues around, national cohesion, economic transformation, improving efficiency along, our institutions, both public and private, and showing that, and interestingly, within that report and within the ethos of the ERGP, it says clearly that it intends to improve national productivity. So our government itself understands that unless we improve or increase national productivity, there's very little that we can do in achieving the sustainable either diversification of our production as a country or the goals that we have signed up for. And I'm aware that Nigeria, I think in 2020, just before the pandemic, actually put itself forward for the review process. And the alarming problem from that review process is that we still have a long way to go. We have a key challenge confronting out of school children. We have a demographic challenge that relates to when it comes to quality. SDG 8, I think, around employment. We have a lot. I mean, I think yesterday I just saw that the chairman of our Industrial Training Foundation, ITF, the Industrial Training Fund, says that employment in Nigeria is increasing on a daily basis. Now, we have societal outcomes that make that a no-brainer. So the evidence is above, is within us. So there's a lot of redundancy, there's high unemployment. There's never been a time that there's been so much tension within our environment. And what must we do? That's the, so I'm hoping that this fast conversation is how we reflecting. So as a Nigerian, as development partners, as partners on the productivity agenda, how are we making sense of poverty? How is it affecting, every citizen in the giant of Africa? How is our digital economy doing? That's, I think, SDG 7. We have a population of about 200 million people. And we do have, realities around regional disparities as well. In Southwest alone, how we framed education. And, we just seem to have so many issues. One of that is that only about 1.6% of our GDP that's been devoted to education. So clearly we have, we're looking for partnerships, or even we ourselves must then begin to hold our duty bearers accountable for how is it that whatever resources being made into education is actually providing and increasing, providing, quality education. So, in preparing for this, I think one of the things I now said was, there's something else I worked on with the ILO recently, I think about a few months ago. And what the ILO wanted to do was because obviously, I don't know if you have the snapshot I shared with you, just as a way of triggering an area of concern for us as a country.
I'm going to share that.
If you can please share that. And I've talked about the fact that Nigeria is, I hope I'm not going too fast, but I've talked about the fact that Nigeria is, a services, we're led by, agriculture, we are quite agrarian. Now fast, very, very fast, the services sector, because of a lot of investment in technology, a lot of trust towards the digital economy, we're now making we're making some strides, and we're going, and we see that it's accounting for, gross domestic product. However, as we have growth in services, I know from where I sit in the human resource space that we also seem to be having issues around employability. So on the supply side, we seem to be plagued by what we call credentialism. So there's quite a number of people who are going through the schooling system where the curriculum needs to respond to some of the needs of services, some of the needs of businesses. And those businesses, whether we like it or not, are standards that are, are global in nature. So we call it competitiveness. For the purpose of this conversation, we'll call it productivity. How do we ensure that every young person who exits from the Nigerian education system understands productivity at the individual level and understands what to do as a civil responsible individual to promote, So this slide was something that I saw we discussed this in an education group a couple of weeks ago. And it's also unacceptable that, if we don't have young people, if our education system is not structured in a way that people are able to exit with the skills that are required, then we already have a direct connect to productivity as a country. Our national productivity will be affected if young people cannot exit the university system or the schooling system. I wouldn't use the word university system, the vocational and the guidance system that is required, to live out their own potential, to live out their own productive capabilities. Because I have a theory that, I believe that every human is blessed with something with which to live a productive life. What we have in society, in our society, in fractured societies like ours, is due to bearers who should facilitate the highest and the greatest good on behalf of that young individual, or on behalf of that human. So when we frame it as human capital development, we frame it as education and things like that. What are the things that, as a country, what are the strategies that from now we must, include? And if you look at all I'm sorry I'm rushing, but I just wanted to be able to learn this, so maybe we'll then have a conversation. If you look at the plan that Nigeria has, so Nigeria has robust plans. I mean, I invite us to have a look at them. They cannot be faulted at the level of what to do, you know, at the level of what to do, or at the level of what needs to be done. So the plan on Youth Employment Action Plan is all exhaustive on the things. And over time, you know, if you look at, you know, if you look at our policy on education, so within, you know, our own realities, we understand what must be done. I think one of the things I was hoping to take away from this session also was a conversation around, okay, so what next? How do we, I'm aware that we have a national productivity, we have so many productivity councils. And I looked at, you know, what I think is Dr. Heap had put on the WAP website on ways to then leapfrog, you know, what next? How do we create benchmarks? How do we have these standards? How do we keep the conversation going? And one of the things I've also noticed, if you look at all these reports, I've sat within our National University Commission on what must be done within the school system, what kind of curriculum that we need to improve digital skills. So these things are well articulated. What we have, the productivity challenge that we have, I believe, is how do we have a coordinated set of participatory and this continuous improving process of analyzing what we're doing wrong and this continuous process of debating what we must do next. And then I see from the work that I did with ILO recently that there's need for capacity strengthening. So when people are, when we're designing policies, when we're designing or framing solutions, how do we also ensure that the people that are the custodians on that are not just only focused on outcomes, they're focused on data, they have the capability to record data as it should be recorded. How are we planning and investing? How are we keeping our leaders accountable so that on the short and the long term, those economic, social, and environmental objectives that we have are fulfilled? And I want to say, you know, just in summarizing that what we then need perhaps to start interrogating and reflecting on is there a dimension that we haven't put in? So we've put in a lot of this. Is there some moral obligation from every citizen of Nigeria to, you know, interrogate, you know, where am I and what am I doing, you know, to shift this level? What am I doing to ensure that, you know, the people who are custodians on this process are also doing right? And we have an election period before us. And, you know, sometimes I go online just to see what's going on. And I worry sometimes if we really have a grasp of our situation. Quality of learning is still declining. Teacher ability is still an issue. So what are the things that we must do? And I find that productivity, the conversation of productivity is timely. It's something that we must plug into. It's something I really want to commend RD. So for Nigeria as a country right now, we've decided that we have to strengthen our evidence base. So if you look at the report on aligning the SDGs with ARGP at this moment, the current report agrees that we must strengthen evidence-based planning, that we must strengthen accountability mechanisms of the state, because obviously the way that our country is structured is obviously intervention at the LGA level, at the state level. So they agree that we must strengthen those accountability mechanisms for us to accelerate the SDGs, the decade of action. They agree that post the economic recovery and growth plan, that there needs to be one targeted towards 2020. I think the last one we had stopped at 2020. And so and for us to advance the achievement of the SDG goals in Nigeria, clearly, and I'm happy to share, you know, the link in the group, that all of these things that we have enumerated in some of these plans just simply need to be moved into, you know, that in the frame where they're done, so they get done. Get accomplished, and what ways are we then going to be reflecting on ensuring that, you know, we hit those goals? And it's just in the way that we're policy framing, the way that we actors are coordinating, collaborating, and making sure that we do what is best, you know, by our country. I really hope that in my rush, that I've made some contribution, but those are my thoughts really around how are we reflecting as a people? What's the gap between theory and practice, and what must we then do? And the conversation doesn't stop here. What must we then do in practice? So I've always taken a lot of work I've done in employability at the level of in the field, on the ground, when the boots are hitting the ground. What are the things that, you know, we must focus on and get done? And what are the ways, and how are we framing that so that when we're evaluating, is also we're doing that within the realities. You know, one of the things that I noted as I was preparing for this was that we're seeing a lot of expression in banditry. We're seeing a lot. I have friends in the last couple of weeks that have been carjacked, that have been, you know, in some of the most unusual places. And the first thing that came to my mind is the people who choose that without endorsing or justifying criminality. That was not what and I like that Prof talked about the social contract. I doubt very much that is, you know, how they framed, you know, that is how they framed living out their realities. It's just that the society itself needs to take a bit more look at asking ourselves, those who choose and value those things, what can society do better? How can we arrange better so that people can function optimally, so that all the humans in society are living up, to their productive capacity? Because we, as I started, we cannot, national productivity is promoted by output per worker. So that's the incentive that we all have as individuals listening to this, to begin to continue to frame and reflect on our role and our position in just changing those realities for ourselves and for our country. I hope that I really hope that makes some sense.
Awesome. Can we appreciate Detoun Ogwo, please? That was fire.
Thank you very much.
I know her. I know she is like that. Thank you. Can we clap? Can we drop our claps in the chat, chat room to say thank you? Thank you. That was awesome. I agree more with Detoun because I came from that part of the world. And I understand that productivity or national productivity can be something that can be on the lips of the government. And then, yet they are doing little, or they are doing much, or they have so much capacity and vision, but they are doing less in achieving it. One thing is to have the vision. One thing is to have, all the fantastic plans, all the fantastic ideas. Another thing is to make it happen. Talking about poverty, talking about education, what kind of education will enhance, the sustainable development goal that we're talking about. What kind of, capacity strengthening do we have in plan from government, from non-governmental, from people, from individuals? There must be plan and there must be action that must go along with the plan. So much more than all the talks. We've had so much talks over the years. Now it is time to take action. I hope that at the end of this, knowledge sharing, somebody will pick something and then it's going to bring a better continent, a better world to us. Talking about strengthening accountability. The question is, who is checking? Who is really checking the government? Who is checking the NGOs? Who is checking the non-governmental? Who is checking the schools? Who is checking? Are they really checking if you are really doing the right thing? Are we really checking if you are really on course? So that our discussion will not just be talk, but you have to move to action in some of the things we have talked about. Thank you very much, Detoun. I think we will have questions. Dr. Arun, we have questions for you, but after this presentation, we'll take all the questions together. So if you have questions for Detoun Ogwo, please can you just drop it at the chat room or chat box there, and then we'll pick it up from there, and everybody will share knowledge from all the expertise that we have today. Now, moving forward, we have another powerful, loaded dynamite who is here waiting for unleashing, right? So we're going to allow him to unleash. But before it does that, I want to just read his profile a bit. I can't finish all his profile, but I just need to just touch on a few things so you can know who is going to share thoughts with us. It's called Dr. Gaspare Manos from the UK. He's a co-founder and chief business development officer at Attanes Limited. All right, born in Thailand to a United Nations diplomat, Gaspare Manos was educated in Greece. Please, can we, okay, let me unmute everybody. Please make sure that your mic is muted, please, so that we don't disturb the flow of the house, all right? Okay, sorry about that break in transmission. Dr. Manos speaks English, French, Italian, Spanish, and Swahili. Wow, that's great. Having traveled extensively and live in Thailand, Kenya, Greece, Switzerland, and the UK. Also in Belgium, France, and Italy. Wow, well traveled, right? Okay, Dr. Manos has been exposed to many different cultures and people since a very young age. All right. His work career has mainly been in advertising and media, where he has been a key entrepreneur player in various technology companies in telecom, software, and media sector. He has a strong business development experience across European Union, Africa, and Asia, as well as in people development through mentoring different work teams around the world. Dr. Manos constructing social cultural life experiences and lifetime passion for arts has also made him a world-renowned partner and sculptor whose work are in high demand. Wow. Some of his work of art are in permanent museum collections around the globe. That is a man with so much capacity. All right. So without holding him down, I'm sure he really wants to unleash right away. Will I welcome to the microphone as we all welcome Dr. Gaspare Manos as he takes us to the next level. What are the productivity strategies for sustainable development objective or goals of the world? You're welcome, Dr. Manos.
So, Remi, thank you very much for the introduction. And God, I'm very honored to be here, and it's an impressive panel. And in fact, Arun and Dets, you've made me feel alive. I haven't felt this way for a long time. I used to be an academic. I've got a PhD from the London School of Economics. I spent a whole lifetime doing that. And then I went into entrepreneurial part of the world of life and kind of switched off that mind. Although, as you will see, part of what we are doing now from a technology point of view may well be of great assistance to research and to actually delivering programs and projects from governments. So that's the first point. The second point I need to mention immediately, you really struck a chord when you mentioned Rousseau and the social contract, Arun, and the importance of government enforcing law. That is absolutely fundamental. And as for debts, the fact that businesses are often part of the problem. So having said that, there's such a massive topic that I'm going to focus on small aspects of it. I'll do a little contribution around concepts of societal development linked to productivity, and then the importance of knowledge and knowledge sharing as a factor that enables this. And then more importantly, which is really the meat on the bone, is to reveal to you a technology solution that we have been involved with and building that can contribute in many ways to productivity increases and to potentially sustainable development goals by empowering people through mobiles and redistributing wealth by taking it from a particular sector, putting it in people's pockets, and facilitating life. So I'm going to try and share a screen. I'm actually tethering to my phone, so I'll switch off my screen. Let's see if I can share. It's going to make it a bit easier. Are you seeing a screen?
Yes, we can. We can.
You can actually see something. Okay.
Yeah, we are seeing. Yeah.
Okay, so so a few concepts first. We must really we have to be careful what we actually wish for and what our aims are in society. When we focus on productivity increases, these must always be in line with sustainability parameters to be of any enduring use and any particular use to the local community it is meant to serve and empower. And we often forget this. We always think global, and we forget that people are made of families, of communities, of local places. And grassroots bottom-up approaches to productivity enhancement often work better despite being part of a wider global economy. And there are many examples one can study. I'm from Italy, so Northeast Italy, post-war growth, which was actually the subject of my PhD, was very much the result of this. It's a real from rags to riches example based on hard work, community, information sharing, using a common dialect, a common codes of conduct, etc. So the idea that pleasure in the job thus creates perfection of the work, to paraphrase our old friend Aristotle, works. What a wise man. Now, talking of wise people, let's not forget our grandmother and all of that wisdom, because it's exactly that kind of wisdom that has made many entrepreneurs and economies focused on productivity highly successful, because they thought globally but acted locally. Now, one example we should all learn from and study the work ethic and productive methodology is a gentleman who left us this year, unfortunately, to a better place, called Leonardo Del Vecchio, who founded and grew an eyeglass empire called Luxottica from a small mountain village, sleepy town in northern Italy called Agordo, which probably had like 50 people there. By the time he left, the company had hundreds of thousands of employees in every part of the world, and probably was responsible for 40% of global spectacle production. And he never forgot the local. It was his family. So honesty, work, family, community, country could summarize the ingredients of a whole generation who built up economies after the ruins of World War II. You know, they listened to grandmothers, and I really hope our children can be a bit more attentive as well. So we're like bees. Now, the point is, productivity is enhanced when all the bees are facing in the same direction with a common goal. For this, you need buy-in, acceptance from those involved in the productive process. Now, underpinning this are the values that enable a feeling of being part of a process, of a community, all involved in a joint effort to achieve an end goal for a good reason, not just profit. And, you know, linking all this and enabling all this is information sharing, which is what we do as a company, and I'll show you how this can help. So information actually is what forges the spirit. It removes those mental obstacles, the worries. It's the spirit that allows us to, you know, you and I, to wake up at 6 in the morning on a rainy day and keep on going and hammering and hammering. Finance has still to understand this simple rule. Finance should be at the service of entrepreneurs and society and people, not the other way around. Until we get that equation in a more elegant format and supply, all will not be okay where productivity lives. You know, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. We've all seen the film Shining. You know what that happens. It's not good. And society could be going that way. So let us be warned. So we have a problem, and that's reduced and fixed resources and increase in demand, which is a kind of dream scenario for any economist and any company. Prices go up, profits go up. Well, it doesn't solve the problem for humanity. But there is a part of this can be solved through productivity, because it does increase through better interlinkages between the economic and the social and the environmental fields that you mentioned earlier, Arun. And I love the model that hopefully we can discuss later on. These interlinkages happen through communication, the sharing of information between actors, so that businesses and their staff, businesses and their customers, governments and their people are on the same page. But information must be relevant, clearly understood, brief, and to the point. You know, speakers and listeners must both know what is being talked about. So the government has to have access to the people, have to have a means of communication, getting the message through, exciting them, getting them to vibrate all together, just like a beehive. In the field of economics, this has been achieved, though not yet entirely. Cost and revenues can be expressed in dollar terms. In measuring quantities and weights, we use kilos and pounds, but not always. Wheat is still traded in bushels, oils in barrel, gas in gallons, containers in TUs. You know, and villages in Andhra Pradesh, the units I understand are called kalam, koni, urai, kuruni, valam, with slightly different values from village to village. Precious stones still go by the grains of the karob fruit, karat, in Arabic. So in social sciences, however, we do not have a standard measure of job satisfaction, of family happiness, or feeling of achievement, all elements that influence, you know, the workers and customers alike, that actually perhaps together underpin and enable this development process that we are longing for. So, you know, less sometimes is more. So sustainable development goals, we all know what they are. They're listed here. Great fantastic. It comes with a bill. The Economist says 5 trillion, some others say 1 trillion. I just picked a midpoint, UNCTAD, at 2.5 trillion per year. So who pays? Well, that's a good question. You know, remember the old adage from the ancient Greeks about being careful with a gift bearer. Finance, who is here to help us, we love finance, but they're here to make a return on investment. So who benefits in the end? So I'll give an example. In Italy, Italy pays 200 million US dollars a day in interest to banks for recent loans. Like, hello, are we ever going to get out of this? It's food for thought, you know. Something needs to change. Now, here comes the exciting part. What if there was a new source of funding and a method, a technology to deliver productivity and sustainable development goals? That'd be exciting, wouldn't it? And it's a big amount of money. We can probably access a good part of this from the media sector by pumping it through the pockets of mobile users who are part of telecom operators. How do we do that? I'm going to explain how we do that. It's a massive sector. And why would we want to change the equation that seems to be working, or is it working? Well, it is not working. I will show you why advertising and media and information diffusion methods are not working and where there is an opportunity. I think I can almost hear your jaws dropping on the floor. 50% of mobile clicks are accidental fat finger. 8% of internet users are responsible for 85% of clicks. 56% of display ads are lost to fraud. 28 are non-human, they're bots. So what is social media selling us? What are all these large companies that I will not name that are used as a means to programs, to projects, to delivery of information that is crucial for human and economic and social development? What are they doing? Where is this money going? It's wasted. There is a lot of fraud. Multinationals I work with, and I can't mention them, are all coming together. They have understood that it is not working, and they have proven it by removing hundreds of millions of dollars of media spend and waiting a few months, and the result was zero change in sales, zero change in click-through rates. So very, very interesting. So we have an opportunity to harness the market that we mentioned before and do something with it. So where's the market and where's the technology? There are 5 billion people out there or more with a mobile phone, probably 10 centimeters away from them. We all make 22 billion calls, just on network every day. And on average, believe it or not, there's 12 to 15 seconds of waiting time between us making a call and someone answering on the other side. There's 12 to 15 seconds. You multiply that by 22 billion, that is billions of minutes a day. It's the largest media space in the world. It's several times the size of internet, and it's not yet being harnessed. Apart from our technology, we're first to market, etc. And we want to put it to use for society, for governments, for institutions, for NGOs, and yes, the corporates, because we will get them to pay the bill and take most of that money. And when I mean most, 70% of that, we will redistribute back into society for them to spend on value-added services. So there will be a massive social, financial impact that we can actually prove. And it's a way of changing the economic model, which has gotten us to a position today where a few hundred families or less own more than half of the world resources. So, you know, I'm all for accumulation and wealth, fantastic, but there is a limit to greed that we were talking before about. So how do we actually harness all this and put it to good use for governments and corporations? You know, for example, for education, entrepreneurship, microcredit, enabling women who are often the backbone of society in rural regions, etc., etc. How does it work? Well, we simply surgically deliver a message, which could be a message from government, a message from the finance minister, or a simple message to someone having babies. Would you like a 30% discount on your Pampers? So we help you. Say yes, press 1. Would you like a discount on your microcredit? Are you a small entrepreneur in the north of wherever? And you can send this in any language at any time of day using geolocation. Imagine what one can do by having proof of delivery. So it's introducing two very important things into society, into media, which is a huge market. It's introducing GDPR compliance. So data is no longer raped from us, used by others to make money, and for the benefit of others. And it's creating a new value exchange that is useful and to the service of government. I realize I've got less than a minute available. There was a lot more to talk about, so I will just cut to the last slide. Our target is to reach about 20% of the global telecom users, so about 1 billion people, and to collaborate with humanity using this technology. So any of you have ideas from government, from NGOs, from institutions, please reach out. I am in a position to be able to do a lot of good soon, because this will become a very large company. And because of my life spent in Asia, where I was born in Africa, and at a time when all these issues were beginning to show a scar on society because of the development, and because of the PhD, I want to actually use this for the good of humanity and society. And thank you very much for having given me a chance to discuss and make you aware of this valuable tool to us. Thank you.
Awesome, 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 awesome. Thank you very much, Dr. Manos. Thank you. That was awesome presentation. I know you have so much. I know you have so much. I think we need that that slide. I need to take it up from you. I will develop the paper out of it. Okay, good. So that we can share it in our knowledge sharing background platform. Awesome, awesome. Thank you, thank you. That was awesome. Great insight. Great insight. Thank you. Thank you. All right. You know, one thing I took from that presentation, and I think I'm going to research more, rethinking humanity. We need to rethink humanity. What exactly is humanity? You know, people see humanity as a base of getting more profits. You know, I bring out a service, I get more money from people. I don't care about how you know the environment. I only care about the economy angle of it. I care about what I'm getting, and I don't care about what's happening to the world. I think we need to rethink humanity again and again. And I love the angle of using IT as a blessing to humanity, not as a siphoning from humanity. How can we help more people to live better, to produce better, to do better, and then to live a healthy life through IT? I think that is commendable. We're going to think more after this event. I think something we need to think more and see how we can create more platform and a technology that can help humanity to achieve more. Thank you very much. Thank you. That was awesome. Thank you. All right. So down to the question time right away. And I just want to quickly go to Dr. Arun, so that we'll look at the question we have in the chat room, and then we can take it up from there. Okay. So
I have one question.
No, I think there are two questions for you.
Yeah.
So do I read it? Do I read it out? Somebody said.
Yes, please read out.
Okay.
Please read out.
Okay. Somebody said I agree with you, Dr. Arun. That okay. His name is Festus. He said I agree with you. He said with some school of thoughts. Okay, I agree with your school of thought. Or the environment should be controlled in order, to achieve. I mean, not the economy, which has made the earth to suffer much degradation. Now, so how do we measure? So the question here is how do we juxtapose economy and environment? Because sometimes we need to produce and to affect the the environment, and then we are looking for economic angle of it. So how do you juxtapose? How do you achieve more even when we are producing for economic purpose, and then we will not be destroying the environment? I think that's the angle is asking question from. The next question is okay. I think it's my own question. 10 minutes recommend. So what do you do to make the environment more powerful, as you suggested? Okay, what do you do to make the environment more powerful? All right, those are the two questions. Take them. Go ahead.
So when I presented this model, I expected a lot of debates, and I'm happy that the debate has started. In fact, it is the only way. If you go to definition of the concept of sustainable development, that definition is not an easy definition. It's not an easy thing that you meet your needs and leave something for future generations. How does it happen? That definition of SD given by World Commission itself contains this element which I am presenting today. You have been trying to balance the three elements: profit, people, and planet. Now, in balancing, the weakest gets suppressed. And today, the economy is the strongest, and economy is suppressing both society and environment. Can you reverse it? Now, you cannot do it, not easy, but that is what this sustainable development is about. If you go to concept of SD, that is it about. Why? Because you are today seeing everybody is flouting society and environment because they have money, they have power, they have profit, they have wealth. So it is a great divide. Those who have wealth, those who don't have. So the economy is with the wealthy. So that is a problem. So it is not very easy. So I have given some prescriptions. The model entails certain follow-up action. One, so this questionnaire had asked for 10 suggestions. I will give more than 10 suggestions. And the audience can give more also. More. One, the action must lie, one, with the government, then business, citizens, and civil society. All the four must have their duties towards this reversal of weakening of the environment and make it stronger. Now, one, first, if you want to achieve SDGs, can we not have a rights approach? Today, the poor have no rights approach. They are being given something like a charity. Can we reverse it? Like education, health, housing, water. These are basic human needs. Can you not have a rights approach that these must be given by the government? So make it a rights approach of building into the system, the framework of the government, of the law, of the constitution, that these things must be given. And maybe you can have a phasing system that within 5 years, within 10 years, but every government around the world must promise in the document that we are going to give to our citizens these SDG goals, at least some of them, if not all. Education, health, food, housing, water, power. So this is a must. So that is one. So if you make it a rights approach, then you are making a real meaningful contribution and not just telling, just not a lip service. It's not utopian. Oh, we'll do it. When will you do it? tomorrow, day after tomorrow. So better start doing it. You can say, I need time of phasing out, of phasing it, fine. Then every investment that you have, every capital investment must be screened for their environmental, social, and governance concerns. Are they addressing? Any investment that comes must be screened for, is that investment socially and environmentally sustainable or not. Never invest, never allow investment which is not sustainable. And in fact, today, ESG investment is coming in a big way. I have presented some of the slides. It's coming in a big way. Can it not to go to cover all the sectors and not just a few sectors? It's coming because as Financial Times has predicted, within 10 years time, you are going to reverse the system. So better do it fast because you are going to disrupt. Entire thing is being disrupted if you don't do it in phase wise. So that is one. ESG investment must be the norm, that any investment must be screened for the ESG and sustainability. Then if you on the personal front, everybody should produce renewable energy. It's possible. Everybody in India particularly is coming in a big way. The solar power is coming to every housetop and rooftop, and people can do it. Yeah. So that is one. Then excessive consumption and consumerism, we must stop it. Because the moment we buy something, the producer starts producing that same thing more. We buy something, some goods we buy, Manos knows very well, he's an economist. Once you produce something, the chain process starts of producing same thing over again. And you are using more raw material, more power, more everything, more machinery to produce same thing which somebody has taken out from the departmental store. Can you not stop that? Now, I'll wind up. Then publish carbon footprint of every human activity. Like your flight, you are taking a flight. The ticket should show that how much carbon you are generating. You should know that you are generating carbon by a flight. So similarly, all activities must have a carbon footprint printed on it. And second thing, can you not do carbon sinks individually? Collectively, group, carbon sinks must be produced by everybody. And the laws of violation of environment is very strict, very stringent. And lastly, everybody should do a personal audit, that how much I contributed in my personal life to less consumption of power, less consumption of water, less consumption of art. My own way, it's a small one, but it adds up. So personal audit of every individual, every human being, even a child in a school, that is going to go a big way to create not only a saving, but also a ethical standards of society that we are all contributing to, not just we're looking at government, we're contributing individually in our own personal audit to sustainability. So these are some of the suggestions which I would respond to the question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I know there's a part of you that is the union. The union is coming out of you. Want to fight? I know that part of you is trying to come. If I give you a chance, you can go on and on and on and on. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Prof. That's awesome. Yeah. Let's quickly go to Detoun Ogwo. Detoun, I want to just ask a question. I'm sure that I got some question in here for you. So looking at Nigeria, looking at Africa, there's a large number of youth, I think 70%. That is massive. So the question here is, why is there that unemployment number increasing every year? What is the gap? We can't talk about sustainable development goal without talking about education. What kind of education? What is the new education? What is the gap that you think we need to fill in as an expert in area of youth development and then, working in that space? Please, over to you, Detoun.
Thank you, Rowdy. You want me to go into my research, and we don't have time for that.
Yeah, just
But I think that, and thank you. This has been a very, very interesting session. I wish there was a lot of time. But, to answer you, I would just share what brought me to this journey. I was a human resource manager brought in from a multinational, from another environment, a more organized environment into Nigeria. And the first thing that hit me across the face was that within that business, a lot of our recruitment tools were eliminating, skills. So we have issues around employment. This is what we discussed on underemployment, employment in Africa. We cannot uncouple it from the quality of education that the state, even by its own duty, has rendered to majority of citizens. And we've heard even across the world that there are distortions in the quality of skills that are coming out and the needs of business. Now, for environments like Nigeria, whilst we're developing local content, we need foreign investment. So it's always trying to strike that balance between what the sophisticated demand side needs and what the environment is producing. To answer your question directly, our public education system needs to be more responsive to the needs of business. We cannot run away from it. However, from the years of my research, I've now seen that unless we make the expense, that technical and vocational education can usually be more expensive. Unless we make those investments, we're going to have to take productivity to the individual. How can you be self-reliant? Because whether we like it or not, the numbers of people that are credentialed in Nigeria sometimes cannot feed themselves. There's no sustainable livelihood at the end of collecting the certificate. So you have a lot of people roaming the streets 10 years post-graduation. Why? Because there are fundamental distortions even in our guidance system. So young people don't even know, they're not given a life compass on how to navigate. What next? I go to school, what next? So there are lots of, so Lagos State just recently had a conference as well, where we discussed all these issues, the need for collaboration, the need for supply meeting demand, the need for a different form of education that is responsive to, that's going to make our society resilient. We cannot have huge numbers roaming the streets in the hope of 2 pieces of paper saving their lives. We've got to tap into innate productivity. We've got to tap into ways of working and ways of providing decent work. We have issues around informality. How do we also upgrade those systems? So there's just a lot, but to answer the question, to bridge the gap, I think it's going to need all hands on deck. It's going to take a lot of reflection on what it is that we've been doing that is not serving our society. And it's going to take strong leadership, strong institutions, visionary leadership. It's going to take doing things differently so that we can get different outcomes. The youth of a nation should not be begging for a sustainable society. The youth of a nation are the mainframe of the society, and they must take that power in their hands.
Thank you, thank you. That I know if I give you a chance, you can take another lecture on that. You can take hours on that. I know that's your passion. I love your good heart for the youth and for development of Africa you've been doing over the years in Nigeria. Thank you.
Sorry, Ardi, I'm sorry to take you back, but yeah, I just want to put for context. Around the time that I was recruiting, for 15 roles, we're getting about 96,000 applications. So just frame that, sometimes when we discuss these things, we're not discussing them away from human reality. So whilst we're programming and we're policy framing, people's lives are still happening. People are falling on the fringes of society because duty bearers are not acting.
Yeah, I agree with you. Awesome. I agree with you. Thank you.
Productivity.
Thank you. Thank you.
For the man on the street.
Thank
so to just frame that. So a lot of times we're discussing on employability and we're just.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. All right, Dr. Manos. Yes. If I give you a chance, I'm sure you can continue. But just 2 questions, we'll wrap it up, wrap the question up. 2 questions. 1 question from the chat room and then 1 question from me. Then please wrap it up in few minutes. Okay, somebody said I heard you correctly that you are helping to redistribute wealth. In short, how do you do that? So that is a question. Then from my own side, I understand and I've seen from your profile how you've gone around the world, how you've been part of different culture, different countries, different continents, and then you are a rounded man. what is the problem of collaboration? What is the problem of international trade? What is the problem of global world coming together, resolving issues for the general goodness of the, of the earth? What is the problem and how can we fix that? I'm sure you can do that in 1 to 3 minutes. I'm sure. Sorry, I'm putting you on a hot spot.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, the second question is very complicated, but the first one, how do we redistribute? Well, in a nutshell, the model that we've come up with is that, there's 5 billion people making calls, and there is an enormous media market that is about to reach about $1 trillion. Now, what if we were to take, every time we saw an advert, every time we see an advert, imagine 70% of the revenue from that advert for a pro rata would land in our pockets. That's what we are doing. So how does it work? We launch a service with Orange rather than Airtel, rather than Bartel. They then promote a service to millions of users saying, opt in, it is free. When you make a call, we will replace the ringtone 1 or 2 times a day with a message from government, something useful for you, targeted for you, specific to you, where you have a use and a benefit. And every time you hear these 5-second, 6, 7, 12-second ads, a few times a day, we credit a wallet. We credit money, real money, that you can then use to buy all sorts of value-added services at the moment from the operator. Speaking time, data, whatever. But later on, it's going to be, petrol, milk, whatever we want, education points, something or other. So instead of all this 1 trillion going into the pockets of 5 or 6 people, Zuckerberg and company, bless him, well, what if most of that money went into the pockets of people who's paying 30 or 40% of their telecom bill per month, would make an incredible impact on their life. In the African continent, I understand that that is one of the major expenditures apart from housing and food, and sometimes even more than that. In Kenya, where I grew up, my parents live, and we are operational with Safaricom. People spend on average $20, $30, $40 a month, and they may be earning $200 a month. Now imagine I cut that by half. Well, that's $20 extra when that's 10% extra revenue that can be, big pens, clean water, education, books, injections, aspirin, something that is financially quantifiable. So that's where we want to do. And it's applicable not just for Africa, Latin America, and Asia, because we all have a price point. Even the CEO of a large company will want to get one message a day that says, on your next flight to New York, first class Swiss Air, please say yes, get 30% discount. So as it's applicable to him or her, it will also be applicable to a Maasai in the middle of nowhere who talks Giriama, that we send a message in his language saying, Bill Gates Foundation is having trachoma operation at this level, in this place near the river, where the river bends, whatever, go there tomorrow. Or there will be the rains in 3 weeks' time in the northern provinces of India, whatever, you can plant. As for your second question on collaboration, well, I wish I had this magic wand. Having lived and grown up in all these parts of the world, I've come to this conclusion: we are really, really, really all the same, and it angers me and it makes me very sad, actually, that we are not able to communicate in the same way that children communicate. You put children from different places in this room, they'll be playing with even a stick, they'll be making something out of it. So maybe, who knows, maybe our technology again can provide communication about about programs and projects where people can collaborate. I don't know, but it's definitely an issue. Thank you.
Yeah, I know. I think technology cut across the world, and then I think it's new thing to think about. Thank you very much. All right. Yeah. Before we get out completely, we're going to take a general picture of everybody here. But before that time, before we take the picture for the knowledge sharing forum today, I want to invite one of my senior colleagues in the productivity industry. She's always at my back. She always got my back. She always got my back. So I want to invite Anita Tan to, is the vice president of the World Academy of Productivity Science, one of the vice president, all right? And then she will give us a wrap, and then we'll take the picture, and then that will be all for today. Anita, boss, you're welcome.
Thank you, sir. Well, this is an absolutely packed and inspiring session. I took a lot of notes. So today's discussion is about productivity strategies for achieving sustainable development goals. I see a common theme addressed by all of our three speakers. It's about people, and more precisely, people development. It's about education, training, and in short, knowledge sharing. With my lot of notes from all three of you, Secretary Ralph, you're specifically quoting the United Nations definition of sustainable development. It is development that seeks to meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. It is all about leaving a continuously livable world to the next generations to come. On the note of future generation, Mrs. Ogwo continues hard work in nurturing the youth population helps strengthen the future pillar of our world. I looked up the mean age in Nigeria. It's 18.1 years of its 206 million population. So through education and dialogue, as you clearly pointed out, we can ensure productivity and sustainable development. And Dr. Manos talked about information sharing and how we should make possible for people to use their existing skills and talents in areas that we can make things happen in this rapidly changing world. Well, thank you for the case study that you noted that a new method is being put in place in the advertising space, that you are actually putting back money in our pockets. Wealth is redistribution. Thank you. I'm looking forward to that service. I need some more money in my pocket though. Our speaker's action is louder than words. Thank you for your contribution in making sustainable development possible. Thank you. So the World Academy of Productivity Science believes in lifelong learning. Knowledge can help equip us, which is the reason why we put forward this knowledge sharing forum. And as Chanel had pointed out earlier, we have also launched the International Journal of Productivity Science a few months back. And now I'm advertising for the call of paper for January 2023. Please submit your paper and share your expertise. And again, today's event will not be possible without the three speakers generously donating your time and sharing your experience. So a big thank you to Dr. Ruth, Mrs. Ogwo, and Dr. Manos. And of course, without all of you joining the forum today, we will not be making it possible as well. And you know what? I need to thank my team members, Dr. Chanel and Remi. Please do not call me senior colleague again, because I don't know if you're talking about my age or my experience. So thank you again.
Experience.
Our session is recorded and it could be replayed on demand anytime and anywhere. And very soon we're going to send out the link. So if you enjoy the session today, do send it to your contacts and your friends. They may enjoy it as well. So today's event is coming to an end. We look forward to seeing you again in our next event. So for now,
can we all on our video so that we can take the picture for today? Every video, can we all on our videos, please? Thank you. All videos on.
Smile.
All videos on so we can take the picture. Some videos are not on yet. Okay. Smile to the camera. Okay. Some are just getting on now. So let me take it again. Please, let's smile to the camera. Anita, I can also help me to take so that we can have two cameras taking this at the same time. We don't want to have an error anywhere.
No, I'm not taking it. I have to smile and
That's
enjoy.
the smile. All right, so I'm taking one, so let's do it again. Yeah, I like Mr. Raja is trying to arrange himself well. Okay, now we're gonna do it again. All right, one to smile to the camera. Okay, so let me drop it and say it's good. Then I tell you we are done very well. Okay.
Thank you, Remi.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Remi.
Thank you very much,
everybody.
everyone. You can
Thanks
on
a
your
lot.
mic now. Let everybody can on your mic. You're
everyone.
muted.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Great session.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you
Good
very
night.
much.
Good night from India.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hi, Anita. Can I speak to you?
Of course.
Anita,
Yes.
this is Kader.
Hi, how are you? Haven't seen you for a long
Fine.
time.